You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. It's great to have you all with me today. Want to welcome everybody. Want to welcome everybody watching today on Facebook on our TGI Sports Talk Facebook page, our personal page, YouTube, X. We're live on Roku on the National Streaming Sports Network. Am I live on Facebook right now? I am not, or I got to refresh. Let me just check something out. I got to check this every week now. Well, we're live. Excellent. So, since I got rid of the bots, the Nazi bots on Facebook, I have not had a show not show up live. Just saying. Anyway. Where else was it? Oh, live on Roku on the National Streaming Sports Network. Download that app. Have some fun there. Lots of great content. Not just this show, but it's all great shows, 7 days a week. Some of the groups, John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Flo and the Gang at the Bottom Line Sports, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastimes, the Love for Baseball. And I only share if we have baseball topics, obviously, a lot of it. We'll see what we have for MLB today. Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and the Gang actually do their podcast from. They allow us to share to their Facebook page. We've had a relationship with that since DDH was involved, and Tanner D and the gang have done a great job of carrying on Dan's legacy over there. Ralph Williams, quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media, specifically the Sports Corner that Ralph does with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Great stuff. Been a guest there and then certainly always enjoy myself. My thanks to StreamYard, one of the sponsors of this show and all the shows on National Streaming Sports. Download that app. You can see the barcode up in the upper right-hand corner. Just put the app on your phone, guys. It's good for us, and it's good for you. When you want seats, especially late, great place to go and get some bargains, I'll tell you. Although, if there's bargains in buying seats for anything today. What I forget? Thanks to Tony Collins, former Patriot running back. He was my guest on 101 with Keith Engle this past Friday. We had a great conversation with Tony. He's written a book, which I'd love you guys to check out, A Broken Road, Turning My Mess into a Message. Tony had some serious issues that started with painkillers during his NFL career, turned to much more serious things and addictions, and took him to the brink of a very, very dark place. And he came back from that, partly with the love of a good woman, which we all have, or many of us, I guess, have benefited from over the years, and other help. And he's written that great book to help others. And he does some great things with kids today. He's a motivational speaker. Well, and not as quite as much, because he does have some CTE issues as well, which watch the interview. It's really fun. He's got a great attitude about everything that's happened into his life, and including where he is today. So we'll talk about a lot of stuff today. Let's just take a quick moment, say a couple good mornings. Good morning, Rick. Sorry for changing my pick on the Rams game, which we'll get into later. I'll talk more about that as we go forward. It's not too bad out there today. It's like a heat wave. I went out. They didn't do our driveways and walks yesterday, which contractually they are obligated to do when there's even 1 inch. Believe it, which is very liberal, by the way, but that's what the contract calls for. So I'm kind of a stickler for those kinds of things. I don't mind getting out there in a nice, brisk, dry day and clean the driveway, which I did this morning about 6 a.m. In the walk, and it's nice, fluffy stuff. There's only a couple inches of snow. Just kind of irritating is all. But But anyway, I left it yesterday because we were out all day yesterday at we were at a baby shower in the morning. Congratulations to Chris and Maria. Had a great time at that for about 2:00. Went to see my dad. Weren't home until about 7:00 last night, so I wasn't really feeling like doing it after being out all day. So, anyway, it's all taken care of. I guess that's my world today. Thanks, Drew. Get out there. It's really nice. I love these mornings. One thing I miss. I lived out west. West mean Fulton County, Perth, Mayfield areas. We'd get a lot more snow than we get today. I used to love this type of snow. You give me 18 inches of it, 2 feet. I don't care. If it's nice and fluffy, I could go out there 0, dry, crisp air. It's refreshing. It's cathartic. Nothing clears your mind like that. I miss those days. I'm old and I don't want to do a lot of snowballing like I did then, because I might have to do that 3 times a week. And in the morning before I drove 50 miles to work, and then when I got home from work at night, I'd have to do it again. So I don't miss those days. Worshipers, this is it. We're worshiping at the cathedral of TGI Sports Talk. We're all heathens. That early game was ugly, especially for the Chargers. I got some comments on that. A couple things I want to get into. The playoff games yesterday, I don't doubt, and we'll get into this a bit. I've changed my Rams. I picked the Rams in the I'm going to bet probably Minnesota now too. Sorry, Rick. I know I've probably wrecked your team season. That game's been moved. The Charger game was played in Texas. You're not going to convince me, and this isn't an excuse, right? But that team played horribly. Texas defense was really good, but Herbert was awful. That offensive line was awful. I'm not convinced the focus is 100% on football for these young men with families and friends going through the hell in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. So I think there's something to that. It can be refuted. I'm not using it as an excuse, and they haven't, quite frankly. But there's got to be something to that. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about yesterday's games. This is your show, guys. We'll talk about whatever you want. But we got yesterday's games. We got today's games upcoming, which I'll give my picks for, and I'm going to bet them all. We can talk some college football with the semifinal games. We've now got a final of Notre Dame and OSU, and I'm excited about that, obviously. And give Notre Dame a chance here. OSU did not look overwhelming against Texas. If you think they did, please explain to me why. I think big wins for Freeman, big wins for Ryan Day. Freeman's a winner already in my mind, but Day needs to win one more to get off the schneid a little bit with his fan base. Carson Beck goes to Miami for $4 million. By the way, Carson Beck has made between $10 and $12 million in the last 12 months on NIL money between this deal. Excuse me. Hiccups are back. This deal and what he's getting, or what he's gotten in the last 12 months from Georgia. And, well, I'm sorry, NIL contributors. And other things to talk about there as well. But Bill McCartney, former Colorado coach, great coach. Colorado was nowhere, man. He brought this team from the depths of nowhere to a national championship. Great coach, a guy who coached, and quite frankly, early in his career when the team was not winning at Colorado, his faith, he was a little like Dabo Swinney in that way, maybe even more so. Again, leaning on his faith, not afraid to talk about his faith. And it got in the way for a while, but his way won out, and he won national championships and was very close to at least one other. We talked about the in the NFL, but we didn't get into it this morning on the Big Football Show over on National Streaming Sports. I thought we might because of a post I saw yesterday and some conversation we had about the firing of Gerard Mayo, not giving him a chance. Listen, 35 coaches have been fired in the last 40 years after their first year. A bunch, like 5 or 6 in the last 2 years. This isn't a Patriots thing. And he's getting fired because Mike Vrabel's available, and that's who's going to be the coach here. Now, have they skirted some things? Yes. But let's stop focusing on one team and one guy. We do this a lot when it comes to cheating, when it comes to firing coaches after 1 year, being unfair. I'm not just talking about the Patriots. We focus on a lot of things. But the Patriots aren't the first team to fire a coach after 1 year. Not even this year, by the way. So, anyway, we'll get into that if you'd like. Manning's, well, we talked about Manning in the Hall of Fame. It's coming up soon. A debate that will be had. Mike Tomlin, what's his future going to be with the Steelers? I think he stays unless he wants to leave himself. Number one pick for the Titans. Should it be a quarterback? Shouldn't it? Major League Baseball. Yankees rumored to be possibly making a big trade with the Mets. I would not make it. I'm not a big Marcus Stroman fan, but it's Jeff McNeil coming the other way. I don't see that as a huge improvement over the fundamentally incompetent Glaber Tories. Jeff Hoffman, local product Jeff Hoffman, signs with he signed with Toronto for $11 million a year for 3 years. The Yankee fans that interfered with Mookie Betts in the World Series, Major League Baseball has barred them from all Major League parks for an indefinite period. Fair? I think so. And then the Hall of Fame voting will be released for the MLB on 1/21. Big week that week. I think there's a big event on 1/20, if I'm not mistaken. Exciting times. Knicks reeling a little bit. Lost twice in the last 2 weeks to the best team in the league. Badly, home and away. Is this a bad omen? If you want to talk about that. And then the NHL, Ovechkin is very close to breaking Gretzky's all-time scoring record. So there we have it. Let's get into the comments. I don't see a lot up here yet, but we'll get them. Guys, it's your show. Take it and run with any of that or anything you want to talk about. Ravens looked as expected, even without Zay. Unfortunately, so did the Steelers. Yeah, well, they ran for nearly 300 yards. The Steelers' defense has been crappy, the last month, including just a few weeks ago when Baltimore beat them handily that time. There was no reason to expect anything different here. I don't think this quite gets Lamar off the playoff schneid or the playoff monkey right on his back. I really don't think it does. Because he's got to go and he hasn't got to a championship game. Get to a championship game. Or maybe he has gotten to one. I'd have to look back. But he hasn't got to a Super Bowl, right? I don't expect him to do it this year. I still think Kansas City repeats. They'll have a tough time with Buffalo or Baltimore, but all roads lead through Kansas City, who will get, I believe they're going to get, hold on here a second. Where's my brackets? There we go. They're going to get the team. By the way, they're also talking about revamping the NFL playoff system next year to do kind of what college does. They do it. Who's the lowest remaining seed? It could be. They could still get the Broncos. The Chiefs could. I'd expect the Bills to handle the Broncos pretty easily this week. By the way, some big discussions since we were on last week in the NFL about the Chiefs and the way they approached the last game, and they got blown out by the Broncos and sad everybody. And the Bengals are crying. Zach Taylor's crying. We can get into this. It is not my business to take care of you or anybody else. My business to take care of my team and do the best I can do. We had some discussions on the big football show, the professional sports show on National Stream Sports Wednesday, where I was kind of in the minority. I shouldn't say that. I wasn't a minority. I wasn't by myself, which I often am on these topics. And I was called out about my always talking about the integrity of the game. But part of the integrity of the game is also taking care of your team and doing what's right for the playoffs and winning a championship. And that's what the Chiefs did. They deserved the right. They were 15-1, and they earned the right to do whatever they wanted to do in that game. And the Bengals should have taken care of their own business. So CA, blessed Sunday to you, buddy. Good to have you with us. Thank you for worshiping at the altar of TGI Sports Talk. That is rather blasphemous, right? I'm sorry. NFL players going back to college for NIL. Great topic. I talked a little bit about Carson Beck. And again, they're going back. If you're going to be a top 10 pick, a first-round pick, you're not going to go back. Carson Beck's stock had fallen from, first-round pick to probably third day. Late second day at best, and I don't think that was going to happen. I think third day, and the Hurricanes have no idea what they're getting, none, because he's had surgery and he can't throw until March. He'll miss spring practice, so it's kind of a leap of faith. But $4 million today for a quarterback in NCAA football is kind of the going rate. They need to fix that defense more than anybody else, but you'll see a lot of guys, I think, potentially. And look, maybe this is a way. I don't know. I'm trying to spin this so I can live with it, Billy. Maybe this is a way that college football keeps players around more. The stars are going to go, right? They're going to go get their money in the NFL, but unless there's enough money at the college level, it might keep guys around longer. Problem is, they're not going to stay at one school so that we can see really good teams be built and gel like we would have in the past, right? And I'm trying to find something. Paul Spada, good morning. Paul, I'll confirm you posted last night. Carson Beck was getting $4 million in the portal, and that's what he got in NIL money, and also 10 to 12 million. In the last 12 months, including that $4 million in NIL. He wasn't getting that in the NFL. So good move by Carson Beck. Maybe he moves himself back up the charts. Georgia was going to move on. Georgia had already allocated his money. There was nowhere for Carson Beck to go. I think Georgia's ready to move on. 2 years with Carson Beck, no championships. Played great 2 years ago. Didn't play awful this year, but was responsible for a lot of their inconsistencies this year. And I think Georgia was just ready to move on. Whether it's with the kid that replaced him this year or, or somebody else, Ravens, yeah, they're good. I think you mean Savage. I'm going to guess you're saying here, Paul, but I'm not that impressed with the team that they beat yesterday. They just beat up this team in the regular season by 20. When they go to Kansas City or they go to Buffalo and they win and go to a Super Bowl, then I'll be impressed. I mean, they're a good team. They're a great regular season team. Lamar Jackson had a season for the ages this year as a quarterback. I still think Josh Allen gets the MVP. But Lamar could be offensive player of the year for sure. 40-plus touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I bet them yesterday. I was very convinced they would win that game convincingly, and I don't think it was even as close as the score. What did he throw the ball yesterday? 20 times? They ran for almost 300 yards. Man, where is this game? That's the other game. I want to look at CJ Stroud had a nice day yesterday, too. Where's the box score for this? I think they ran for like 299 yards. Am I right? Lamar Jackson threw the ball 21 times, 16 to 21, very efficient, 2 touchdowns. But they ran for 299 yards. 186 for Derrick Henry, who, quite frankly, I said in the beginning of the year, I didn't think he would have that big an impact. So shame on me. And Lamar Jackson ran for 81, 299 yards, 6-yard average. Where's that vaunted Pittsburgh defense? Yeah, I agree 100%. Jimmy Butler now has talked himself out of about 3 places. He talked himself out of Chicago. Maybe it's 4. Did he play for? No, he played for Coach Tibbs in Buffalo or Chicago, I think. Right? Why do I feel like he played for him in Toronto? He played in Toronto. Anyway, he played in Chicago, Philadelphia, now Miami at least, maybe Toronto if I'm remembering correctly. He says he doesn't know where his NBA career is going, but it's certainly not going to be in Miami, after which they immediately suspended him. Jimmy Butler's a great player. He's been a great clutch player for teams that were lacking. Miami team that made a little run a couple of years ago. I heard Jimmy Butler carried that team as far as they could go with limited talent. But he also, again, is a selfish player. You got a contract, honor it. Pat Riley's not going to deal with that crap. CA, Sark, 0-6 when trailing at halftime by 7 or more at Texas. I believe most of the players thought they would be satisfied with a tie at halftime. Imagine that, college players acting like pros. Well, they're getting paid like pros. They might as well act that way, CA. Listen, I said coming into this semifinal that there was 4 coaches here that had a lot to prove. Sark, Day, Freeman, and Franklin. Franklin failed. Freeman's the big winner in this playoff so far, in my mind. Everybody knows how I felt about Marcus Freeman and defended him for 3 years. I very loudly jumped off his bandwagon, to use that phrase, against when they lost against Northern Illinois, and they totally mismanaged that game, totally mismanaged their quarterback, him and Denbrook, his offensive coordinator. But Marcus Freeman, as he has done in other seasons, especially his first season, if you remember, he lost to Marshall early in the year. He righted the ship. That coaching staff changed their approach, changed how they use Riley Leonard, and used them correctly. This is an explosive team. He's not an explosive quarterback, but he's effective, and he's tough, man. He's tough. And I saw no better 4-yard run in my life watching football than Love's 4-yard run. We talked about it this morning in that Notre Dame game. Tremendous effort by Love. This is a good football team. If you believe in destiny, they haven't won since 1988, guys. They hadn't won a major bowl game in 30 years, a generation. And they've won 2 now in 2 weeks. So we'll have time to talk about this final next Sunday, because it won't happen until a week from Monday. Listen, I've got ulterior motives, right? But I like Notre Dame. I've liked them all along. I wouldn't have made the bet that I made in August if I didn't think this was a good football team and a good value to make that wager. And I'm happy I did. I don't care. If I lose, I lose. But Notre Dame has nothing to be ashamed of this year. And by the way, they're not going to go out there and get blown out by this Ohio State. That game Friday night, great job by them winning. Will Howard played well. They made plays when they had to. This game was 14-14 with around 10 minutes left, I want to say. But for a pick six, it might have been tied again with 4 minutes left. How about them Texans? They played well. Defense played really well. Again, and maybe I'm wrong, and I promise you, I'm not making excuses for anybody. And this is why I've gotten off the Rams today. Herbert played his worst game of the year. Part of that is because of the really good Texans defense. The offensive line of San Diego is putrid. Herbert threw more interceptions yesterday than he threw the entire season. I gotta believe at least some of these guys had other things on their mind and took their focus off of football. And it's totally understandable in my mind if that's the case. And I think that Rams could run into the same problem today. Just an opinion. And by the way, I have to tell you, there are times I want to jump off and be done with social media forever. Some of the bull crap that I've read on social media about people that have lost their homes in California. I don't give a crap if you're George Clooney or Tom Hanks, or you're a guy who's busting his ass for 60 hours a week, plumbing, whatever. It's a tragedy. Do not try to equate. Now, do those people have more means to go to another house, rebuild? Yeah, they do, but they also, none of them, or most of them, don't have fire insurance. Somebody posted about James Wood. James Woods had a photo of his, from his balcony of another house on fire and trying to save his own home. And somebody posted, oh, screw him and all those guys who make $30 million a picture. They've got a gazillion dollars. Nobody gives a crap about their pain and suffering when there's other people with less means. How is Billy Crystal losing his home of 50 years any less painful emotionally than for somebody who is out there humping a 40 or 60 hour work week? People are disgusting sometimes in my mind in these situations. And James Wood, by the way, I did a little research after that. He's worth about $6 million. Probably half of that is wrapped up in that house, which he had no fire insurance for. So I know plenty of people with $3 million of net worth or more. They're not that much different than you and I. Some of them have a lot more money. It's just disgusting what's happened. And to think these players, and I hope nobody takes the opinion. And if you do, you're entitled to it, but you're absolutely wrong and not thinking clearly. If anybody takes the opinion that these guys go out and get paid and they should forget about, their family and friends that they might have left behind. Anyway, that's just my rant for the morning. Have to leave for an errand. Is it to go to you got to deposit more money in the bank? Where are you going? See you later, Billy. Hope you make it back. To the show, not back. You make it back in general. How about them Stars? 8-0-1 in the last 9. We're going to be getting into some NHL. I haven't looked at the NHL a lot. How far behind am I falling already? 8:45. Not too bad. 12 minutes. Looking at the NHL standings real quick. We know that CA is a big Dallas star, and we know our Dallas fan. Sorry, that's funny. Dallas star. So they moved into third place in the Central. Been very hot, as he said. I've got 8-1-1, by the way, here in their last 10. But that's your last 9. Okay, that's probably why. Won 7 in a row, by the way. Billy's Winnipeg Jets, meanwhile, continue, I believe, to pace the points standings with 61 points. They're actually tied with the Capitals. And again, Ovechkin is about ready to break Gretzky's scoring record here very soon. Rangers still off to a horrible start. Are they ready to ship it all since we chatted about this last? No. 4-5-1 in their last 10. Jersey Devils. We'll get Jim Beringer on soon to start talking some hockey. That's his team. They've been a surprise, a bit of a surprise. Slowed down a little bit their last 10. But the Rangers and Islanders have been just putrid. 4 million, yes, 4 million is confirmed, Paul. I found it on about 8-9 different sources today, along with the amount of $10 to $12 million he's made in the last 12 months on NIL. That includes his 4 million. And that's why kids are staying in school. Whoever made that comment before, don't stay in school, learn. Stay in school because it's good for your money. Danny Fuller, speaking of LA and the tragedies out there, we hope you continue to stay safe. I know Danny had mentioned Friday that so far himself, his family, and I think the people he's close to have been safe. But I know Danny mentioned 25 miles, which, man, doesn't seem like a lot to me when I watch what's happening and how fast this stuff moves. So our prayers stay with you and your family and anybody else out there, because the winds I know are supposed to pick up again today through Tuesday. It's just an apocalyptic event out there. I saw drone footage a couple of times now, and it looks like I'm looking at Aleppo. Scary. Really, and our thoughts and prayers go forward with you. Carson Beck, one more year, will be a better quarterback. Maybe. I don't know. He had major arm surgery. He can't throw till March. This is a total, and I'm a Miami fan, as most of you know. He fixed my collar. Yeah, that's good. As most of you know. I don't know what we're getting in Carson Beck. He can't even throw. He won't be able to throw in spring practice. So, is it worth a gamble? Probably in today's environment. But Miami needs defense, by the way. Let's go fix the defense. We'll figure out quarterback. This team didn't lose last year because of Cam Ward and the offense. They lost, and Cam Ward's gone. We know that. And I hope he plays well. I wish him well, and I hope he does. He seems like a good kid. He doesn't seem like anybody I'd want to root against. And hopefully he can improve his draft stock. But, by the way, this was the year to come out. This is not a good quarterback class. There's not a quarterback coming out as good as Cam Ward played in college. Great college quarterback. Shooter Sanders, great college quarterback. Doesn't mean anything on the next level. Nothing. And if they fail, it doesn't diminish their college accomplishments. All of these quarterbacks would not have gone ahead of any of the quarterbacks picked in the first round last year. So none of them would have gone before Bo Nix, let's say, who I think was the last quarterback picked in the first round at 15. They wouldn't have gone ahead of any of those guys. And there's a big drop off. Now, these guys, to me, back of the first round is where I would have them ranked. And one of the draft site that I use religiously has them at the back of the first round. And the next guy they had rated was Alar, who, by the way, should come back after his performance in the semifinal. His stock is going to drop. So we'll see what Beck can do. Took out Montreal in a shootout, arguably the hottest team in the NHL other than the Stars until last night. Really? Montreal is playing well? They've been down so much the last few years. Where are they? Where are they? Oh, they're over 500, 20-18, 7-2-1. Nice. I like to see the Canadians. Listen, certain sports are better when certain teams are good. We talk about this all the time. Sorry, hockey's better when the Bruins are good and the Canadians are good and the Blackhawks are good. I don't know if the Blackhawks will ever be good again. But when the original six, let's say, is good, the NHL's better. College football's better when Notre Dame is good. Sorry, you guys. They're better when Alabama is good. It's just the sport's better. Football's better when the Cowboys are good. Just is. Baseball's better when the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers are good. Just a fact of life. If you don't root for one of those teams, don't take offense. Just fact. Do you think Alan Jackson on track to be as good as Brady and Manning? No. No. I think you're talking. Oh, Allen and Jackson. Okay. No. Maybe Manning. Peyton Manning won 1 Super Bowl, guys. Brady won 7. The only guy I'm going to say has a shot of this generation right now to reach Brady's heights is Mahomes. And guess what? Unlike a lot of people who were Patriot fans and a lot of people in general, I don't root against the Chiefs because of that. I'm fine if Patrick Mahomes catches Tom Brady at some point. He's got a ways to go. He's only got 3, which is a lot. There aren't a lot of guys who have won 3 Super Bowls, guys. There aren't a lot of guys who have won 2. He's a great player. So are Allen and Jackson, great regular season players. But there have been a lot of great regular season quarterbacks who don't reach the level of Brady. And by the way, Manny's not second. It's Montana. So nobody reaches the level of Montana and Brady. Allen and Jackson have yet to win a Super Bowl. They've yet to play in a Super Bowl. So are they on track? No. I mean, Brady had already won a couple Super Bowls by this time in his career. mean, they're in the middle of their first half of their dynasty during this. So, no. Peyton Manning more so, yes. I'm sorry. Manning did win 2. Sorry. I always forget the one with Denver. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But that wasn't Peyton Manning, man. That guy was not Peyton Manning that I watched win that Super Bowl. That was a good game management and a really good defense that won that game. I'm sorry. I cannot put Manning on the level of Tom Brady ever. Sorry, Manning fans. NFL coaches fired, Cleveland offensive coordinator, line coaches, Peterson, Bengals, Titans, Pierce, Raiders. By the way, so if we want to talk about first-year coaches fired, right? I can't believe and again, I commented on a post that I found yesterday. I'll leave them anonymous. If they're watching, they know who they are, and it's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Aaron Glenn refused an interview with the Patriots because they already interviewed their 2 Rooney Rule guys on Tuesday. They aren't going to hire them. They never were. The Rooney Rule is the stupidest, most ridiculous rule ever put into place because nobody follows it. Token interviews happen, and Aaron Glenn wasn't going to go for a token interview. I understand it. Do you think he didn't go there because Mayo just got fired? No, he knows he's not getting the job. Mayo got fired because he didn't do the job. And this isn't like the Patriots are the first team ever to, where's my list here? I had a list. Oh, crap. Please tell me I didn't close it. Damn it. One and dones. Here we go. Here we go. Just since 2022, Nathaniel Hackett, Lovie Smith, Frank Reich, Gerard Mayo, Antonio Pierce. That's 2 this year. Patriots aren't the first team to do this. 35 of them since 1980. I'm sorry, 70. You don't do the job, you get fired. If a better option opens up that isn't going to be there again, you have to make a move and do what's right for your franchise. Is that fair to Gerard Mayo? Maybe not. But guess what? If I got hired for a job and I sucked at it my first year, and again, I know, no talent, no this, no that. That coaching staff didn't do a great job. Kraft said it was his fault for the failure. He took it on himself. He put Mayo in an untenable situation, and he failed. If I go into a new job, or if I'd gone into a new job at any point in my career and failed miserably, I might get fired too. What's wrong with that? He's got a contract. He's going to get paid. And he's going to be coaching somewhere as a defensive coordinator somewhere in this league. Jets have already interviewed about 8 guys for their GM job, by the way. And by the way, going back to Mayo, this doesn't happen an hour after the game, and we don't bring in 2 guys to meet the Rooney Rule requirements on Tuesday, 2 guys we never would hire in a million years. If the Jets hadn't already interviewed Mike Vrabel and the Patriots knew they needed to move. Sorry, I just want to check this text. Oh, what happened? Oh, I don't know who. Have to check that out. All right. Anyway, let's see. What am I going to talk about? What was I talking about? This is what happens, by the way, when you get old. And so anyway, this isn't, we get hung up on these things. Nobody's on the Raiders for firing Antonio Pierce after a year. Did anybody get on the Raiders for firing Hugh Jackson after 1 year? Mike Mularkey getting fired after 1 year with the Jaguars? Rob Chudzinski with the Browns? Thomas Sula with the 49ers? Chip Kelly with the 49ers? Back-to-back years, by the way, they fired guys after 1 year. Steve Wilkes, there was some backlash. Freddie Kitchens, Urban Meyer had his own issues. David Culley with the Texans. Nathaniel Hackett. Well, I mentioned these guys. Come on. I mean, it happens. What do you got here? Chicago, Minnesota. There you go. I was correct. I said Toronto. Right. Thank you, Danny. I did know it was Minnesota, because I think he played for Tibbs. I think he played for Tibbs in both Chicago and Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. He's a great player, but Drew's right. He's epitome of what's wrong with sports in a lot of cases, and certainly the NBA is just wrought with this stuff. Paul. I don't have a lot of thoughts about professional women's baseball. As long as nobody tells me they can play with the men against the men, I will watch it out of curiosity and we'll see how it goes. My guess is it will last a couple of years. There's no backing from MLB like there is the WNBA by the NBA. There is no financial backing from the MLB powers. Look at it. Maybe it'll be fun to watch. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see, a decade of women's baseball. We did have women's baseball during the war, as we know. You saw the movie A League of Their Own, based on a true story. Those women are recognized in the Baseball Hall of Fame, or at the Baseball Hall of Fame, however you want to phrase that. Am I terribly excited about it? No. I mean, I get myself in trouble on these topics all the time, and I'll watch it as a standalone thing. Just don't try and tell me they can play with the guys and I'll be fine. Also, the Falcons just let their defensive coordinator go after 1 year. So, by the way, coordinators get fired after 1 year all the time. Should be fired in Atlanta is all the guys who built this team to win now and signed a $40 million quarterback and then drafted his replacement at number 7 rather than trying to make the team stronger and improving the defense that this guy got fired for overseeing. All of those guys who were afraid of Bill Belichick coming in there because they might lose their power in their job, they did a shitty job and they should get fired. They should get the award for worst organization of the year, ahead of the Browns. You talk about bad decisions. I'm okay. You want to draft Michael Penix number 7, but not after you just signed a $40 million quarterback and your plan is to win right now. Your plan wasn't to win 4 years from now. Silly. Yes, but so Ohio State, Notre Dame. It is Ohio State's to win, but there's no way, and they'll be a big favorite. I think they're a 9.5-point favorite right now, if I'm not mistaken, Danny. Let me see. I read this yesterday, but I do have. I had the scoreboard up here. Here we go. Hold on. Let's just look at next week's. Got to go all the way down here. Jeez, Christ. 9.5. Yep. There's Notre Dame needs to play a really, really clean football game to win this. But Ohio State was just close to losing. That 28-14, Danny, you were up watching that game because I think you and I were conversing a little bit. Ohio State didn't dominate this game. They didn't run the football well. Texas made big mistakes, similar to Penn State, late in the game. That game was tied with about 10 minutes left, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off a few minutes. It was tied in the fourth quarter. With 4-ish minutes left, 4 or 5 minutes left, Texas was driving the football with a chance to tie the game and force overtime. And they had a bad play. By the way, the play calling down there was ridiculous. How about running the ball north and south instead of east and west? And then, as Danny pointed out when we were chatting, they roll Ewers left, which is, unless you've got like Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes, you don't roll your quarterback to the wrong side of the field that he throws to. And he throws a bad interception, or has a bad turnover, I should say. I don't remember now if he fumbled or it was an interception. I don't remember. Bottom line, it was a run back for a touchdown. So the final margin, and as I had kind of predicted, Ohio State would pull away late in the game. Bet both the favorites in that game, in those two games. So yes, Ohio State, you could say it's theirs to lose. But this is not. I mean, I'm a little surprised. I think the spread will come down. Notre Dame, I will say this. This is not a great football team in Ohio State. They don't have the best coach. I think it's quite possible that Notre Dame has a better coach and will do a better job adjusting. And I think adjustments at halftime, like they have, I think in a lot of these playoff games, will be important. And Notre Dame has shown that they can do that and do it well. They did it against Penn State. Ohio State's beat better teams to get here, without a doubt. I won't argue that point. But this is a team too that there's more pressure on Ohio State than there is on Notre Dame. Even though Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since 1988, this is their best chance. The other times they had to win, they played the team they got blown out by in the final against Alabama was a lot better than this Ohio State team, in my mind. Now they could go out there and win by 30. But I'm telling you that it's not a foregone conclusion. It is their team. And I think there's more pressure on Ohio State than there is on Notre Dame. I think public opinion, Notre Dame has become a much more likable, and again, people have hated them for decades, maybe not. Newer fans. And I like it when Notre Dame's good. I think it's good for the game. This has become a much more likable Notre Dame program, I think, because of Marcus Freeman. My opinion. Great job by the Arizona Cardinals to support the Rams during difficult times. Agreed 100%. They sent 2 777 jets to pick up players, coaches, family, and even some dogs and cats. So great job by the Cardinals. And they gave them use of their practice facilities in Glendale to use until game time. I think they flew them out there. I think they're already there. Probably been there for a couple of days. So kudos to the Cardinals and the NFL for making this work. I just think, and I feel bad because I like the Rams. I think the Rams at home without these fires had a really good chance to beat the Vikings. I no longer think that. With the venue being moved late, with uncertainty. I mean, every day I see, JJ Redick's home burned down from the Lakers coach. Steve Kerr's childhood home burned down. These players, most of them or all of them, live in and around the area that is still in danger, and they're not home to, and not that there's much they could do. I hope, and hopefully they don't have friends and family still in danger. I mean, there've been so many people evacuated. I'm hoping people are safe, at least, physically safe. But you can't tell me that this isn't weighing on their minds. And watching that Charger game yesterday, I couldn't help but think, not an excuse, by the way, it's human nature. I couldn't help but think these guys weren't totally focused on football. And I think you might see that tomorrow night too. Yeah, very thankful Danny and people close to him are okay for sure, Paul. Very, very good points. Robert, you got to be more clear. I don't know what's a good point. Robert, thank you. I did see your note yesterday, I think, your email, and I will reach out. I don't know if it's Mrs. Paul or she's married. I can't remember on your email, but he gave me contact information for Gabe Paul's daughter, who will get on the show, former Yankee general manager, also general manager of the Indians and the Reds, and baseball man for decades. And we'll talk to his daughter soon, coming up on the 101 with Keith Engle show. But thanks for popping in here, Robert, the best dressed man in podcasting. Memories lost, possessions, and family history is lost, devastating to anyone. Agreed, 100%. 100%. I mean, your status in the whatever life, whatever you want to talk about, it has no bearing in these situations. Devastation is devastation. My apologies if anyone feels offended due to lack of knowledge, but we don't support anything in Vatican City. Well, I got to read this again. My apologies if anyone feels offended. I don't worry about offending people, so I won't be offended. I get angry. I don't get offended. And I'm not sure I'm going to be angry about this. We'll see how it goes. Feels offended due to lack of knowledge. But we don't support anything in Vatican City, makes money on, however, if they beat another team, we'll be happy for Keith. My apologies. I'm not sure I understand what's going on here. I do have the knowledge of, I don't know why I should support anything. Why? I'm not a Catholic, number one. And number two, the Catholic Church has a lot of issues that I'm not going to go into here. I don't know why I should support. Oh, I guess we're saying we shouldn't support it. Okay. I think that the point is we're not supporters of the Vatican City or some of this stuff makes money on. However, if they can beat another better team, we'll be happy for Keith. I think I get our point. I think we're bashing Notre Dame and the Catholic Church. That's fine. I'm not offended. And if people are, they can, comment. I'm not going to dive deep into this. If there's somebody wants to refute that, I don't know how you can. Sorry. I'm married to a woman of that faith, and I have my issues with all organized religions. I'm a very spiritual person. Organized religions have been full of corruption, and the reason for most of the world conflict, world wars that we've seen, and conflict, terrorism, across the globe for centuries. So my problem is with organized religions in general. I don't really pick on a specific one, although this one has certainly a lot of issues. Let's see. With Meta not going out and blocking me, I guess I can say whatever I want, right? Good to be free of the Nazi regime. Beck needs a year to show his injuries behind him to the NFL. Good place to go if they have weapons. I mean, again, remember something. All those weapons that Ward had are basically going to be gone. Now, they've done a good job of replacing offensive weapons the last few years. But I still don't think Carson Beck is. And again, two different things. He's been a very good to great college quarterback at different times. Whether he makes that on the next level does not affect how I will remember his time in college, like I say about every quarterback. I do not think he's going to make it on the next level. Doesn't mean I don't think he'll could have a very good year in Miami next year. And I think how he does will reflect how he's drafted in the NFL. To me, it doesn't change whether he'll be good or bad. My opinion on him is not based on his injury. I don't see him as an NFL quarterback any more than I saw Stetson Bennett as an NFL quarterback. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are not sure things, by the way. Danny's update, 17 miles away now. So since Friday, that's moved 8 miles closer. And with the winds, that could be dangerous. Please, I hope you're safe, Danny. And please do the safe thing or the smart thing. I know you will. For you and your family, but 17 miles away, fire and ashes all over the homes and cars. We're running water. There it is. Our water every 4 hours. When you say that, Danny, I'm curious what you mean, because you said that Friday too. When you say you're running your water, I don't know if it's for water or your water. When you say that, is it like, are you watering down your property in your home, or your water is only available every 4 hours? which I know they've had to divert some water, I think, to fight these fires. I think it might be that latter part. So you've only got a water available to you maybe every 4 hours. And again, you can explain as much as you want. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. So like a war zone in 7 cities and only 20% contained, which is better than what it was, right? But I mean, I have a lot of fear based on what I saw last night and this morning as far as forecasts and the wind's picking up again. I just fear that this isn't over yet. Yeah, Manning 2 Super Bowls. I knew somebody would correct me. I missed. I always forget about the Denver one. I don't know why. I remember he was 1-1 in Indianapolis, but I can't put. To me, there's Manning, or I'm sorry, there's Brady, there's Montana. I guess you got to say Bradshaw, although he's totally different situation quarterback wise and team wise with Bradshaw and the other 2 guys in my mind. But then there's everybody else. And guys without Super Bowl wins, I got to go behind the guys with Super Bowl wins. Tarkenton's right there. He might be 4 in my mind. Elway. Marino falls behind all those guys because he doesn't have a Super Bowl win. I know, again, we talked that we put too much stock sometime in winning Super Bowls, but I'm not saying they're not great quarterbacks. But I can't rate them ahead of guys who won a bunch. MLB birthdays today, picking up for Chris F. Grave. Drew's got Alex Wood. Well, that's a lot. Ivan Nova, former Yankee pitcher. Chris Hatcher. Scott Olson. Chris Ray. Dontrell Willis. Bobby Crosby. Louis Alaya. George Valandia. Andy Fox, one of my favorite former utility guys with the Yankees. Couldn't play a lick. But I like Casey Candell. Interesting names. Mike Marshall. Which Mike Marshall? Is that the pitcher or the first baseman / outfielder? Mike Trujillo. Mike Marshall, by the way, had seasons that'll never be seen again in Montreal and then in LA. Pitching 200 plus innings as a reliever 2 or 3 years in a row. I think with the Dodgers, he was like 15-12 with 21 saves through 200 plus innings. I believe he did the same thing before he left Montreal. And he was a doctor of kinesiology. Strange guy. Great pitcher in those 3 or 4 years. Mike Trujillo, Terry Whitfield, Bill Madlock, who I've tried to get on my show so many times, and Randy Jones as well. Some of my favorites. Loved Randy Jones. Nobody threw softer than Randy Jones. What did Randy Jones one year walked like 20 guys or something? Hold on, let me get this first. Mike Marshall, Dodger hitter. He was part of a big trade to the Mets at one point, too, wasn't he? Didn't do very well. Then the Mets traded for Marshall and Samuel. That team didn't do very well. Suggestions. We bookend the first and second episodes of American Primeval with Bowl Game the other night. Oh, you book. I thought you were suggesting we bookend. Okay. We bookend the first and second episodes of American Primeval with the Bowl Game the other night. So far, it's the most realistic take on the Wild West since The Reverend, which was a great, great movie. I'm trying to remember if I have so many things in my queue. Hold on. I want to see about this. And guys can put some comments up while I'm adjusting here. What was it? American Primeval? Come on. I'm interested in this. I'm always interested in suggestions. Netflix, American Primeval, based on a true story? ? Facts versus what's fiction. We'll read that later. I just want to see who's in this. Betty Gilpin, Taylor Kitsch, Sean Perry. Don't know these people that greatly, but we'll check it out. we'll definitely check it out. The reviews are fairly good. I don't let reviews. One thing I don't let happen to me is I never will not watch a movie because somebody said it was good. Now, I also won't watch a movie just because somebody said it was good, because I have this rule. I don't watch movies that have Meryl Streep in them because of how badly she treated Dustin Hoffman in Kramer versus Kramer. My wife keeps, that is my voice probably, keeps telling me that that's ridiculous because it's a movie, and she's right. But I really boycotted Meryl Streep for years. I've missed a lot of great movies, I'm sure. I guess I saw her in a few things, so it's not a 100% boycott, but I've done my best to avoid her. I did get sabotaged in season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. And if you haven't seen Only Murders in the Building, you need to watch the series. If you don't have Hulu, maybe get a month's free trial and binge the 4 seasons. I think it's 4 seasons now of Only Murders in the Building. It is so well written. It's witty. It's Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez, and tons of guest stars. And I got sabotaged by, I did not know Meryl Streep was going to be in season 3, and then it turned season 4. But I overlooked it, and it's a great show. Had a lot of fun watching it. But we'll check this out too, CA. There's so many things I got to get on. I'm going to start watching the part 1 of Kevin Costner's new project, the one he left Yellowstone for. What is it? Horizon? What is the name of it? Horizon, yeah. That's also on Netflix. Did that get? I just love Kevin Costner. Almost everything he does, I will watch, even bad stuff. I watched Waterworld twice because it was horrible, but. Dodgers traded. There you go. Thank you, Drew. Mike Marshall, Alejandro Pena, who was an underrated pitcher, by the way, at least with the Dodgers, and later with the Braves, to the Mets for Juan Samuel. There you go. Samuel was a bust with the Mets. I remember coming over from the Phillies. Those were some bad Met teams, right? 9:30. You guys are letting me down today. I'm out of comments. Got to be something else. Baseball. And again, Bill McCartney, I'll talk about again a little bit right now. Bill McCartney, and we can talk baseball because we got the Mets. We got, you know what? I for whatever reason, and I get it. I get why people do it. That's a good one, Rick. I've never really avoided Jane Fonda because I think she's very talented, as Meryl Streep is, by the way. And you have better reasons. Mine are ridiculous, the reasons I avoid Meryl Streep compared to Jane Fonda. But I have found Jane Fonda to be very talented and her stuff be very funny. She was in a great Netflix series called Frankie and what the hell's the name? It's so funny. You guys, again, if you avoid Jane Fonda, you're not going to watch it. I get it. But if you want to watch a series that I didn't see at all when it was in its first run, she's in it with Lily Frankie, Grace and Frankie. It is such a funny show. It's about 2 women who find out their husbands, played by Martin Sheen and Sam Waterston, have been secretly lovers for years, and they leave them for each other. And it's a very, very funny show. But again, if you don't like Jane Fonda, you're not going to watch it. And I certainly understand people's problems with Hanoi Jane. And I kind of look at it as I don't really care about actors' politics. I just don't. People can. I'd like them to shut up about them because I don't care about them. But, you know, I don't care about what George Clooney has to say. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. If I want to watch a good movie, I'll watch him. So I know that my hatred of Meryl Streep is certainly craziness. And you have much more reason to avoid Hanoi Jane than I do to avoid Meryl Streep. Reds trade Gavin Lux, adds another infielder, and a very overcrowded group. And a great point, as the offseason's gone on, it's and these managerial hirings are further in the rearview mirror. I keep forgetting about Francona coming back, surprisingly in my mind, to manage the Reds, and it should be a lot of fun watching him. There's talent on that team, right? They bring in Lux now. They bring in Brady Singer to add to the rotation. They've got a plethora of young, great players. Hopefully, their second baseman who was hurt all year. Drew, you'll help me out because his name is escaping me. Will be back, and Dela Cruz is just a fabulous talent. He needs to play a little more in control and cut down on his strikeouts, but who doesn't? There's a lot of talent on that team, and they'll be fun to watch with a veteran hand guiding them. Our age difference makes a difference. Not a lot. I mean, again, I was very aware of, and again, what is it? What is our age difference? 4 years? Not even 4 years. I don't think 4 years. Maybe it's 5. Is it 4? I was very aware. I was a strange kid, a strange adult as well. But I was very aware of all these world matters at a very young age, by the way. And I understand that, Vietnam was a very trying time for this country and tore this country apart for a long time. And I have, in my adulthood, I read tons. I'm a history buff. I love history. And the Vietnam era is something that I have really dove into a lot through my life. Late 60s, the 1968 presidential election is something I've read probably, 30 books about. The Nixon administration is something I've read probably 60 books about. Reading one now, written by H.R. Haldeman. So I follow that time frame a lot. And no, I understand 100%. My point is a larger one. And yes, maybe even though today we have actors and whatnot, that this is what happens when we don't put sports stuff up, guys. I dive into the real world. And maybe if I had been in Vietnam, which I know you weren't either, Rick, and you probably knew more people that actually had to go there than I did. So from that standpoint, you would certainly have a really good point. And maybe I'd feel differently if I was a bit older. But again, there have been people that have been like Sean Penn, right? Sean Penn's somebody who I despise his politics. I despise his friendship with guys like Hugo Chavez and whatnot. But Sean Penn's an incredible actor. And I'll watch him because I can separate the two. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who don't. I just do. Same way with sports. I don't give two craps about Colin Kaepernick. I don't care. I care about the product on the field. I don't care about guys. And again, believe me, those that know me know I am not a liberal snowflake. I don't care about what players do or don't do during the national anthem. I do care. Don't get me wrong. I should rephrase that. I do care. But I can separate my dislike of that to what they do on the field. I've just always been able to do that, and I don't apologize for it, nor do I really have any issue to people that take issues and want to hate on people or leagues that don't crack down on these things in their mind. I don't care. The whole national anthem thing, the NFL or Again, the networks made such a big deal about this, but the networks for years, if it wasn't a playoff game or sometimes even just a Super Bowl, you didn't see the national anthem during regular season games ever. Never. They cut away the commercial before the kickoff. You never saw that. I think we're almost back to that. I don't think we see them. Maybe I'm not paying attention because I'm often out for the 1 o'clock games. Not paying attention to what's going on until there's a kickoff. But, the networks didn't give a crap about the national anthem. They would show advertisements. Is that worse than what the players did? Again, and I'm not defending their right to do it or don't do it. I just separate the two, and I choose to do that, and that's what I will continue to do. I can't, if a guy's a mass murderer or something like Ray Lewis, I don't change my head, get out of the league. That's a little different. I care what you have to say, Keith, but I don't care about what actors have to say. Well, you don't have to care about what I say either. My opinions are wholly my own, right? And I know sometimes I probably come across trying to convince people that they're wrong about whatever. I'm not trying to convince anybody they're wrong here. And I do care about what people have to say. And there are times where I've been turned on topics by conversations here and in the real world, I guess. This is the real world, but you know what I mean. Day-to-day life. It takes a lot to turn me. I am very stubborn and very stuck on my ideas. That's why I tell you, I use the Billy Packer axiom all the time. I'm sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. I don't expect everybody to think the way I do. If I did, I'd certainly have a different ideology in my life in general about how this country should be run and how other things in life should go. If I thought we all should think the same way, I mean, that's a pretty scary thought. Anyway, Meryl Streep, wonderful method actress. I suggest you watch Devil. I can't. However, like Fonda in her best movie on Golden Pond, never live by the wonderful messages the movies offer. Oh, neither live by the wonderful message message offer. Great point. I mean, I'm not going to watch Endeavor's All Pride. I heard it's a great movie. I'm not going to go back probably and watch any Meryl Streep movies. It's very funny that I'm having this conversation. I continue my hatred of Meryl Streep while Rick brings up a woman I probably should hate. I never said I'm a very complicated person. Thank you, Matt McLean. Sat on my bench all last year. Oh, gosh. What do we got here? McLean, thank you. Two breeds. What the hell's that? I'm sorry, Paul. I missed that. That one I can't figure out. A lot of times I can figure it out because I have the same issues typing and talking, which you guys well know. But we dive into some heavy stuff today. This is cool. I like this. I like it when we break because, we're going to come up to a little quieter time in sports in another month or so. We'll have baseball spring training, but there won't be a lot going on until we get to opening day. And I'm okay when we dive off into these side roads a little bit, especially now that I don't have to worry about the Nazis at Facebook taking my shows down because we talked about something they think we shouldn't talk about. That's a good thing, by the way. I saw a bunch of people, by the way, on this topic. I'm going to get myself in trouble today anyway. Who have said, they're going to get off Facebook. They're getting off all social media because now it's just going to be, there'll be no fact checking. There'll be no anything else. Did you see anything before that was much different? Have you seen some of the crap that gets through on Facebook? People can post all these nonsense. Well, now I guess the rules have changed this week, but I mean, there's a lot of stupid shit out there excuse my French. And there's a thing. I got this thing right here. You see this? It's a mouse. If you put it by the side of your screen, whatever you're on, Facebook or whatever we're watching, there's a thing called a scroll bar. And you can keep scrolling until you get to something you want to read or, preaches to your choir. I'm okay seeing, and some of it's ridiculous crap, but I like to hear arguments on both sides of everything. Unlike other people, right? I don't sit and just listen and read articles and watch news and see things on social media that just speak to what I believe. I read everything. That's how people grow and learn and get along. There are a lot of things I understand the other side of the way I feel. Doesn't mean I'm going to change my mind, but I understand it because I dive into it. I don't just listen to the people that think like me preach. Doesn't mean I'm going to change my mind. Sometimes I have. You're trying hard to stay on sports. Seattle, St. Louis, and San Diego still have added nobody during the offseason despite their roster losses. San Diego's talking about trading the guy I like to say his name so much, Luis. Help me out again, Drew. Arias. To the Yankees, possibly. Now, that trade makes sense to me, depending on what I got to give up. Defensively challenged a little bit. Well, a lot. But the guy gets on base, and the guy steals bases, and I think he'd be really good at the top of that Yankee lineup. Colorado only added 1, Twins only 2. It might tell you something about where these teams are looking to go this year, Drew. They might be looking to punt because the talent level of the free agents weren't great. We talked too by Jeff Hoffman. I mentioned signed with Philadelphia, 3 years, $33 million, local product out of Colony. I want to say Colony High. Pitched well in places for the Phillies. Not a guy that I would want to put a lot of faith in high leverage situations for a long period of time. He did have a couple of meltdowns later in the season with the Phillies, but he's cobbled together a pretty good major league career. And I think Drew and I talked about this on the MLB update Friday that, once the relievers log jams started to break up, they'll probably see a lot of them signed here in the next 6 weeks before spring training and probably even after. There's a lot of decent, I'm not going to say great. There's a lot of good to decent relievers, valuable relievers that are out there. Guys that you want to use in high leverage situations, a couple, but you need arms. And these teams not making moves might speak to the fact, other than Colorado, they never try to win. If I was a Colorado fan, I might have to stay away. You don't even try. You and Miami, you don't even try to win. At least other teams make it look like they're trying to win. But these teams may be looking to kind of San Diego's got a lot of talent. But they've lost, a really good pitcher. You feel like guys who can only throw for 5 innings. But these teams may be looking to save money for next year. Don't know. Podcast suggestions. We don't watch Rogan often. I will watch Joe Rogan a couple times a week, but a long interview with Mel Gibson by anyone isn't missed or isn't to be missed. I find Mel Gibson a very interesting cat, by the way. I know he's got very controversial ideas. I don't necessarily agree with all of them myself. I know what people's thoughts are of him as an anti-Semite. I don't know that I am sure one way or the other. There is video evidence of him in a traffic stop that would suggest he might be, but I don't think the making of his most controversial movie as evidence of that. But I find him an interesting cat, and he's had a bit of a career resurgence here. And I have not seen his interview, and I will probably check it out. I'll watch Joe Rogan. He comes across my feed, and I'll watch little bits of interviews. And I like Joe Rogan a lot. The Mets lost 17 players to free agency, then added 15 the same way. The key is how good are the 15 that they replaced them with. Now, obviously, they replaced one of the guys they replaced with him is as good as 4 guys with the bat. Maybe not in the field, and maybe not running the bases, and maybe not as an overall player, but they got the best player available in free agency just because of his bat. His bat makes up for a lot of other faults. Mets have done a lot. Mets have spent a lot of money. Still, I'd be concerned about that pitching staff still. I'd be concerned about some of those guys who had good or better years last year repeating that, as they may have been a bit inconsistent for different reasons through their careers. But if you're a Met fan, you should be excited. Oh, second base, Reds, yes. He's a good player, too. Matt McClain's a really good player. This Reds team is going to be, and Drew was on this 3 years ago, I think, or 2 years ago anyway. And I wasn't, and they had a really good year. Oh, excuse me. Hiccups. I don't know if it comes from talking so much or whatever. I get the hiccups so much. Where was I? Oh, Drew was on this team a couple of years ago, and they didn't make the playoffs, but they made a really good run at it, and then they fell back last year. Again, teams, I said this, we're talking about football teams the other night, I think, on the Professional Sports Show, and a lot of teams often will take a step forward and then take a step backwards before they take the biggest leap forward. I see it a lot in pretty much every sport. Not always, but often. And the Reds could be that type of team where they make a leap forward, take a step back, and then maybe make that giant leap. We'll see. There's talent there. You got a really experienced guy running the show who has won championships in places that were hard to win championships. Reyes. Isn't that what I said? I said Arias, and Reyes. Why is that so hard for me? Should I blame Perf? It's probably my lazy brain. I just don't want to work that hard. Well, it probably speaks to who I am, is I just don't really care enough to get your name right. Give me more Smiths and Jones. Sure, that makes me a racist, I'm sure. Drew at there's Chris. It's good to see Drew. It's good to see Chris. It's good to see Danny. It's good to see CA and Paul and Rick. Sorry, Billy couldn't make it. Let me skip down here real quick. I'll come back. I see Ronnie Baird down in Texas, a Dodger fan. The Mets are where free agents go to die. You can feel free to chime in, Drew. I mean, Drew fights me hard on the fact that he's not a Met fan. I'm positive he's a closet Met fan. But Ronnie's a Dodger fan, so we know where his hatred comes from. Good to see you this morning, Ronnie. Hopefully things are going well for you down in Texas. You get some weather down there where you are. You're in a panhandle, basically, aren't you? You probably didn't get anything. I forget where you are, but I feel like you're down near, like, not where they were getting the weather in Dallas and Austin and such. I feel like you're more in the panhandle, like El Paso area. I could be wrong. Totally wrong. I don't know why I think that. I just do. What's this here? Perhaps, Keith, you've been having some haters reporting to their algorithms to hassle you. Well, that's possible. It happened to me one other time, CA, and I think you were already following the show where they took my page down, my TGI Sports Talk page down for like 3 months. Never gave me any explanation. Wouldn't return a single phone call or a single email or anything to tell me what I might have done wrong. I still don't know to this day. And I've been bashing Facebook ever since. If I had a better platform that I knew how to manipulate for different, for lack of a different term, I wouldn't be on Facebook at all. But I don't know how to use YouTube to get the views that I get here. I mean, depending on, and again, I didn't share the MLB update, so we got like 100 views or whatever, 150 views between the Facebooks, plus whatever's on Twitter and plus whatever on YouTube. YouTube tends to be very small. Twitter, it'll be strange. It'll be, dozens or thousands. And I don't do anything there. But on Facebook, I know how. I've joined enough groups and I participate enough where they allow me to share my content, and we get anywhere between 1,000 and I've had as many as 10,000 views for some of the interviews we've done. So maybe I'm biting the hand that feeds me, but I don't give a crap. And I'm glad that the people who were working these algorithms are now, if they're people, again, I think they are all algorithms that are looking for certain phrases, and I should be able to say what I want. I'm not inciting riots here. I'm not telling people, I'm not spouting racist hatred. Am I politically correct? No. But so what? Political correctness is just ridiculous nonsense that people preach to you as the way you need to be civilized. I don't need people to tell me how to be civilized. I know that I'm a good person, and I know the way I think is not racist, and it's not homophobic, and it's not anything. I don't need people monitoring what I say on the show. Jeez. Me going on Facebook. You're probably right, though, CA. Thank you, Drew, for getting me back on track. The other team's most active in the offseason. That's the other thing, by the way. Sorry, Drew. I got to go back to this for a second. Here's the thing. I know who I am. I'm a very conservative person who, when it comes to some social issues, can be lean very liberal. Does not make me a rhino. To my own political party, get off my freaking back, man, just because if you don't think certain things that I believe should kick me out of my own party, you're wrong. Just to be fair. I have a problem with everybody on both sides of the aisle. Anyway, the other teams most active in the offseason have been both Chicago teams and Boston. Well, I think you mean, and maybe you mentioned, besides the Mets, well, the Yankees have been active. Boston's been active, but is it going to be? Did you say it again? Or did I say it? Oh, that's what I said? Well, that's what you said. Hold on. Wait a minute here. Where's your other one? Or is that the one you put up before? Oh, that's the first one you put up. I must have gone ahead to that. All right. I don't know. I got all screwed up because I jumped ahead to Ronnie Bear's comment. So I got myself screwed up a little bit. Oh, God. Anyway, yes, Boston's been pretty inept in their moves, haven't they? In Chicago, White Sox, I mean, are they making moves that are going to make them better? Well, you got to be better than 120 plus losses just by showing up, don't you? I hope. My wife tells me not to challenge worse. Sorry, I got to check this text again real quick. It's ooh. Yeah. Follow up on that when I get off the air here. Did you say it again, Drew? No. Reyes. I think I said something close to it. I don't. Drew, with the what? Did I go back too far? What happened here? I did go back too far. Anyway, happy birthday to Ivan Nova, 38 years old. Drew had a bunch of birthdays back in the comments here, Chris. Picking up the action for you, Chris. Ivan Nova had a pretty good year, 1 year for the Yankees. Looked like he might be a pitcher to be reckoned with. I believe they traded him to the Pirates, or he went in free agency, one or the other. I think they traded him to the Pirates. He ended up being, more of a flash in the pan. If you missed Apocalypto, I did watch Apocalypto, if I say that right. Apocalypto. Apocalyptico. Whatever. I can't say that word. That was a good flick, too. Again, I find him a very interesting cat. There's a lot of things about him people don't like. I'm sure, again, as I refresh myself with Mel Gibson, there's a lot of things I wouldn't like, but I think he's an interesting cat. His Passion of the Christ is one of the most just taken from look. And again, I look at these things from a historical perspective more than a religious perspective. Okay. So again, I believe these people walk the face of the earth, right? And that movie was very, very moving. And I can remember walking out of that theater with my knees shaking. It was just a tremendously moving movie. Again, I know there was things in that movie that people did not like. So whatever. But Mel Gibson's part of my childhood. Well, not childhood, but my growing into adulthood. I feel like he's been around a long time. Now he's looking old. For years, I wondered why Mel Gibson didn't look old. Mets still lack pitching for sure, as I said before. We do have some sports to talk about today. Thank you, Danny. You're the best. I am so glad you're safe yet. But man, be smart out there, because you told me 25 on Friday, and now you're 18. So hopefully things start going the other way. This is my sippy cup. And by the way, she drinks out of mine and their grandmothers and her own mothers. It's a good point. That probably does give me the hiccups when you drink that way. I don't know. There's Ronnie's comment. There we go, Ron. There's your rebuttal. We got to get to my picks today, too. Manea Severino resurrected their careers there last year. I'll give you that. I think Ronnie's probably referring to some other guys that have gone there or not. Jason Bay comes to mind. Who's some other high profile big names that have gone there? I don't remember them all. The Yankees have had their own share, by the way, so I'm really not throwing any stones here. I'll let the Dodger fans argue this out with the Mets fans. Jason Bay comes to mind. There's some others. For some reason, they're not. Well, I guess Scherzer worked out for a little while. I don't know. Mark Leader is a guest speaker at the Mohawks dinner on Friday. Is that Mark Leiter Jr., who is holding out from the Yankees? Not holding out, but is going to arbitration. Most likely with the Yankees. Mark, if I'm not mistaken, Rick, Mark pitched with the Mohawks, correct? Back in the day. Amsterdam Mohawks in the Perfect Game college summer league, by the way. Great baseball. Really good baseball. Reds and Pirates are almost mirroring each other in the MLB impact the last 3 years. That's, by the way, the Reds. Do you really believe that, Danny? I think the Reds have had more impact and are ready to make a move, where the Pirates are just awful. It's like, well, as we tell our good friend Mark Mancini, as he's bashing everything LA, and I hope Mark's safe too, by the way. I know he lives out there too, and as much as we kibitz about Mark, we hope he's safe, him and his family as well. I was looking for some comments on Facebook, and I sent him a message, and I haven't heard back from him. So hopefully he's okay. The Pirates are just a disorganized mess of an organization, and have been for quite a while. I mean, when Clint Hurdle was there, who were trying to get on the show, Clint promised me he was coming on the show, and I think he still will. He's just been very busy doing a lot of podcasts. He does by the way, if you follow Clint Hurdle, he has I think he does it daily, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see it every day, but he does a daily little commentary for 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's really pretty cool. Check that out. They had some decent seasons when Clint Hurdle was there, but overall management of the Pirates has been atrocious. Management of the Reds has not been good. But this team has acquired some actual talent. Compare those rosters, and you tell me the Reds don't have a roster that can be more impactful and has been more impactful. I mean, they made a run at the playoffs 2 years ago. The Pirates make a run in April and May, and then they fade into oblivion every year. Reds didn't have a good last year, I'll give you that, and probably didn't 3 years ago, which is why I didn't buy into the excitement maybe that Drew had 2 years ago. But Drew was closer to being accurate than me. I think I picked them to finish last, and they have a lot of good pitchers, good players. And I think Terry Francona is going to make a huge impact. So Ronnie got 10 inches of snow down there in Texas. Amarillo, that's what I was thinking of. Is that near El Paso? I don't even know. My geography skills have gone bad. I didn't even know Greenland. If I drive straight through Canada, I'm going to hit Greenland. I didn't even know that. I probably knew that. But, once we have that and we own that, we'll all pay more attention. Chris, who's going to be a U.S. citizen soon when we annex Canada. Look, Twitch is great. What the hell is that? Oh, Twitch is another social media. Well, I think I looked into Twitch, and I might even have broadcast on Twitch for a while. Or maybe I didn't, because I don't think StreamYard. I have to look into it again. I'll look into it again, Paul, because I've still got. I can still add more. I can still add more. What's the term they use? I can still add more broadcast feeds to the ones I do now. I use 6 right now. It goes to 6 different places at one time. It can go, and I can add 4 more. But I think Twitch wasn't compatible with StreamYard, and that's why I was looking into broadcasting on there, and I stopped. But I'll look into it again, because I was following a few people on Twitch for a while, and then I got away from it. But I will check it out. Ironically, Danny, the Reds and Pirates are doing it opposite ways. The Pirates are pushing starting pitching and weak hitting, that's for sure. And the Reds are going with bats, infield specifically, and spotty starters. Yeah, I mean, when Brady Singer is a guy you're bringing over to stabilize yours. Now, they do have some good young pitchers. Abbott's pretty good. Stevenson's pretty good. So I wouldn't say they are not. I wouldn't say they're not focusing on pitching. They got to stay healthy, these guys. And when we look at the Pirates, I mean, I'm not really sure who, except for Skeens, would be a guy that we would say is, has hit the scene with any great impact. And maybe I'm not thinking of somebody, Drew. I know Keller's pitched okay, but I don't know that I would put him on the same level as Skeens. I mean, if I had to go out and you said, well, you got to pick one of these franchises to make an impact this year or the next 2 years, let's say, I'm going to take the Reds over the Pirates every single time. Expectations the last 3 years of them haven't panned out. They're in the middle of the pack at best. I would agree with that, but Pirates aren't at the middle of the pack. Pirates are at the bottom of the pack, no? Danny? I got to take the Reds here. I mean, I got to. Where did the Pirates finish last year? 10 games under 500. Just ahead of the Reds finished just ahead of them. But 2 years ago, how far back can I go? 2 years ago, the Reds finished 6 games ahead of the Pirates, over 500, just out of the playoff race, 2 games back. I'm going to guess if I go back to 2022, I'm going to see a different story, though. Yeah, the Reds lost 100 games. So who's improving more? Who's stagnant? And again, I said this before, that good teams, well, I shouldn't say good teams, teams tend to improve. So the Reds went from winning 62 games to winning 82 games. That's a big leap. They took a step back last year. That often happens in the progress of these young teams. Now, the Pirates also won 62 games. So I would argue, again, that the Reds are on a better trajectory than the Pirates. I'm just saying. Drew agrees that pitching for the Pirates and hitting for the Reds, maybe put them together and you have a good thing. Well, that would be a good thing. There's too many teams, but I don't want to, and I do want to contract. I would like to contract about 4 teams, which won't happen. We're going to add teams. We're not going to contract them. But I wouldn't put these 2 teams together because they're historically great franchises. Yeah, well, we'll see. I still think the Reds have better upside than the Pirates at the moment. Tiger time, football, tennis, boxing, UCF. Cricket, rugby. Chris has decided to forego all punctuation today. Golf, racing, NFL, NBA, other home sport, golf. Tiger Woods gets one over on LLV as Rory McIlroy proved. I won't follow any golf until the Masters, probably. Gets one over on Live Golf as Rory McIlroy proved right with prediction that Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy will be happy after showing up their rivals at Live. Listen, Live could drop off the face of the earth right now, as far as I'm concerned. I've been against Live and had a problem with that blood money that these guys take. I love Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson took a big dive in my in the esteem department with me as soon as he took all that blood money from the Saudis to play Live. And all of those guys, in my mind, if they can sleep at night, God bless them, because I won't root for a single one of them ever to win another tournament here in the States or anywhere. There you go. There you go. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy will be happy after showing up. Oh, we just said that. Verlander and Scherzer, right, were both free agent signings and did not work out very well for the Mets. Yes. Oh, for 2 years. Mark Leader, I think Leiter we're talking about. For 2 years from NJIT, his dad came to a game and I had both of them sign the same ball. That's pretty cool. His dad was a decent major league pitcher. Again, wasn't his brother, I think Al's Mark Sr.'s brother, right? Had a better career, but Apocalypse. Yeah, I cannot say it. I don't know what's going on. Don Cherry will be 91 in February. I didn't even know Don Cherry was kicking around still. Great NHL coach. And if you're a hockey fan and didn't watch Hockey Night in Canada with Don Cherry doing some commentary, you missed some really, really fun stuff, man. You're talking a guy who doesn't have a filter and is not politically correct. Don Cherry's your guy. Last day of week-long PDCQ school today. Are you in it? Are you trying to get on the professional dart tour, CA? If you dive straight through Crane to Greenland, you'll drown. Well, I know that. I do know. I do know that Greenland's an island. Yes, true. I didn't realize, and I should have corrected myself. If I went straight over Canada or through Canada and got on an airplane or a boat, I could get to Greenland. I always think of going to Greenland, I've got to fly, east, way east, and then north. Well, and I can go just straight north. That's more as a bird flies, right? I don't want to drown going to Greenland, by the way. I don't want to go to Greenland at all. I'm okay if we annex Greenland and for security reasons. Hopefully Kenny is with his grandchildren, not listening to that take. Kenny's not here. Kenny can't be here. He was already chimed in when I talked about, the week of the 20th of this month will be a great couple days because we all know what happens on the 20th. Bye-bye. And the 21st is the Hall of Fame induction announcement. So I could have sent Kenny into a lather today. I gave $1 to a woman on Twitch and she took her giant. Hold on, here he is again. I gave $1 to a woman on Twitch and she took her giant. That's Twitch to me. All right, well, maybe that's why StreamYard doesn't support them. Hey, we can turn this into a totally different show, Chris. I'm still going to. Sanders interested in coaching the Raiders. Deion said yesterday, the only way, and I think not. I think he's staying. Billy, he's got one of the number one quarterback recruits or transfer portal guys heading to Colorado next year. He did say just yesterday the only way he would consider coaching is with an opportunity to coach his kids. And I think the Raiders might take Shadur Sanders. I think it's very possible. But I don't think Shadur is going to be a great player in the NFL. I really don't. And I don't see Deion. I don't see Deion in this cycle. Will it happen someday? Yeah. He's not going to get a chance to. It's doubtful, I should say. He's going to get a chance to coach both his kids. He might. Right? I was like, Danny, I'm with you. Chris caught me way off guard with the giant boobs thing here at 7:09 your time. I gotta look over that. He gave $1 to a woman on Twitch. How did you get her $1? Number one, did she give you her PayPal account? You sent her $1 and she shook her giant boobs. Oh, Chris, you killed me, buddy. That is awesome. Oh, Pirates' other starters are Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, plus Keller. I mean, that doesn't excite me. I'll be honest with you. So you guys, maybe I'm looking at this totally wrong. I mean, I look at Hunter Green. Hunter Green, Andrew Abbott, Montos, I'm not in love with. Nick Lalando, I think, has got some potential. Brady Singer, again, whatever. I'd look at their top two guys. I say Hunter Green and Andrew Abbott, stay healthy. They're not as good. Neither one's as good as Skeens, but I think you add any guy to Skeens, that's a better duo. And if Frankie Montas can find his Oakland self, I think the Reds might have a better staff. That's why they play the games, right? Cincinnati wants a similar ballpark situation that Pittsburgh has, and they aren't the only team trying to copy PNC Park. Well, they just built a new ballpark not that long ago, didn't they? Don't knock summer golf in Australia region. Was I? I'm only not going to live. Yes, we're going to give the picks. I'll give you my picks here in just a second. Rick's already mad that I've changed. I've gotten off the Rams because of the situation. And Danny, I'd love your impact. I mean, those guys, do you not think, and I bet the Chargers yesterday, and I should have thought better of this. I think there's an impact with these players being focused in this game. That's a 100% why I'm jumping off the Rams today. I'm going to get to it in just a second. As soon as I get to these next couple of things here. Still have ruled out pro darts personally. However, PDC and seniors tour both aren't developing correctly. Whether darts or any sport, more interesting in correcting past than personal accomplishments. Pass or correcting past? I'm not sure what that refers to. I'd love to get into the pros there, CA. None of those red pitchers are consistent and all walk hitters successfully. All right, so I'll still say there's one pitcher on the Pirates that I would take over those two guys. Fine. We can agree to disagree. I'm saying the Pirates and Reds will finish within 5 games of each other. Okay. Then I'm going to say the Reds are going to have a bad year if that's the case. But I think you are as well. Absolutely. What's going on personally in LA is on the minds of the local teams. Definitely. I got to believe that. Thank you. I really hadn't had a lot of affirmation for that this morning on the big football show. I didn't get anybody going, "Oh, don't make excuses." I didn't want it to be that way. I didn't want it to come out that way, and it didn't. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a legitimate reason. Here's my picks. We got 8 minutes left. Bills and Broncos, 8.5. I don't know what I'm going to get them at. I think they're 8.5 in the cigar box. Hold on a second, I'll tell you. I think I only have lines for one game so far, unless Shannon, you sent them again. No, you didn't. 8.5. I'm debating the over or the game. I think I'm going to bet the Bills minus 8.5. That's going to be a wager. I could jump off the game wager and bet the over, but I think I'm betting the Bills minus 8.5. I'm going to take the Eagles minus 5.5 at home. This is solely because Jalen Hurts is healthy. I would have gone the other way if he was not. I like them at home. I just think they both got really good running backs. Barkley's a step ahead of Jacobs at this point. I don't know how banged up Love is. I think Love is more likely to make a big mistake than Hurts right now, and that's why I like them. And I will take the Commanders plus 3 or 3.5. Again, I don't know exactly where the cigar box will land. I'm 3 out of 4 for the week, by the way, and making my way back to break-even point. I like the Commanders over the Buccaneers. They did win 12 more games or 2 more games, excuse me. Baker Mayfield had a great season, throwing for 40 plus touchdowns, 4,500 yards, broke some of Tom Brady's records there. Irving's had a great year at running back. I liked him. It's funny. I had him on fantasy teams early in the year and I dumped them everywhere. The Commanders haven't played as well late in the season. But I think unless Dan Quinn's team is up 28-3 in the third quarter with 5 minutes and 41 seconds left, I think they win this game or at least cover the spread. And if you don't understand that whole line, then I'll explain it to you later. That game is tonight at 8 o'clock. And in tomorrow's game, I did like the Rams at home, even with that tiny little home field advantage they really had in L.A., between this game getting moved and then having to fly out there when they didn't expect it and uprooting their families and their pets and their whatever and worrying about things they left behind. After what I watched in that Charger game yesterday, I got to believe the focus won't be 100% on football. I'm betting the Vikings, I think, minus 2.5. Again, I don't have that line just yet. Probably won't have that one until tomorrow. I would hope Sam Darnold, who looked like the Sam Darnold from his Jet days more often than not, and I shouldn't say more often than that, more often in the second half than in the first half of this season. I think they have enough to beat the Rams here. So there's my picks. You can bet the other way, Danny. I'm trying to get back to the break-even spot. I was in a bad spot, man, in the cigar box up until about a month ago, and I've got 4 straight winning weeks, I think. 3 out of 4 can bet. They raised our limit has been raised an extra 100, so I've got a chance if I can go. Well, after this, next week there'll be just as many games, I think, right? I got a good chance if I can have winning weeks through the Super Bowl. I'm confident I will be even or making money. Oh, hold on. Steelers again have quarterback. They've had quarterback problems. Listen, I never thought Russell Wilson was the answer. I said that early in the year. They'll be going to find another quarterback. Don't rule out Aaron Rodgers here. And don't rule out Mike Tomlin this time finally walking away. I don't think he gets fired. But I think Mike Tomlin, this has happened a lot the last 2-3 years. A lot of whispers about Mike Tomlin looking for a different situation. He's been there a long time. There's no more interesting record to me in sports than the fact that this team has had 3 coaches in almost 60 years, 55 years. 3 coaches in 55 years. But it could be Mike Tomlin's ready to move on. But their quarterback problem. Listen, Russell Wilson, to me, it was a defense that kept his team in the hunt. Russell Wilson and Pickens aren't on the same page. Pickens is a me-first guy and not a good locker room guy. This team's got some issues, and Russell Wilson wasn't going to fix it. Bob Tewksbury, former Yankee and Cardinal, grew up thinking Bob Tewksbury was a great pitcher. Never mind baseball reference. Listen, Bob Tewksbury was an okay pitcher. He wasn't great. And again, there was a lot of guys. I understand your point, Chris. There was a lot of guys I grew up watching that I thought were really great pitchers. And I realized they weren't necessarily afterwards. But Tewksbury was a competent pitcher for a number of years. To use a term that Drew and I both don't understand. Innings eater, right? What goes an innings eater if he's no good? But Bob Tewksbury had some good years. See, I might have pitched for the Cubs for a little bit too. I'm not going to look him up in the reference today. But he was never one of the top pitchers, an elite pitcher in the league. He had a good career. I'll give him that. Hope Sean Payton's pompous asked. You can write it. I mean, there's no more fact checking there. There's no more bots going to knock us down. Gets blasted. Eagles blast a pack. We're on the same page here. I think the Bucks beat the Redskins. I kind of, that was a toss up to me too. But I will go with the Redskins. And the Vikings beat the Rams even with a pathetic offensive line. Their offense needs to get it together. The offense has not played well the last several weeks. So we got to get ready to wrap it up. You complete with Danny on the picks. Is that what you're saying? Good morning, Dave. We got to sign off. I am all over your Bills today. I think they'll win for fun. And maybe we'll bet the over too. I don't know. But guys, we're going to wrap it up. Another great show today. I know we got off the sports path, but remember, this is Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We can go anywhere. And now with the Nazis gone, we can talk about almost anything we want. Within reason. I do appreciate you guys and all of your comments. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy the games today. Enjoy the warmer weather. And we'll see you on Wednesday with the college football huddle. And we'll be back here next Sunday. We don't have a guest yet for a little one-on-one show. I'm still working on that. Or we could have your come in. Thank you, Danny. I love you guys too. And stay safe out there, buddy. I'm not going to talk to you for a few days or except through Facebook, but stay safe. We'll see you soon. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk's Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports